Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me today. And thank you so much for everyone who put this together. My name is Julianne. I am an AmeriCorps service member at the Inter-Faith Food Shuttle. We are a local nonprofit hunger relief organization, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about that later. I recently graduated from NC State last May with a degree in communication and Parks and Rec tourism management. And so I started as an AmeriCorps member in last June. AmeriCorps was like the only place hiring after the COVID shutdowns. And so it worked out pretty well. This position that I'm in currently is the Gardens for Everyone project manager. I started in this as a part-time 6-month COVID relief person, and the program was in its infant stages. We hadn't done anything yet, and I'm going to talk to you more about that later too. They hadn't even launched it, so I got the chance to, right out of college, launch a program that's doing awesome work at an awesome nonprofit. And I really recommend AmeriCorps work to anyone that's looking for stuff to do if you're graduating soon. It's an awesome experience, and it's ending in the end of this June, so that will be a transition for me too. So I'm currently in full-time. It got extended for another 6 months. So that's a little bit about me. So today I'm going to talk to you about empowering community through, sorry, my face was in the way. Empowering community to make equitable and sustainable food systems. So basically the Inter-Faith Food Shuttle this is what we do, right? So I'm going to talk to you about how empowering community does create food systems that are sustainable and equitable, because we can say that, but we need to understand kind of why that works and what our food systems look like currently. So I have some questions I encourage you guys to, answer if you want to. That'd be great. So the first thing we're going to hit on is, what does it mean to be food insecure? If anyone wants to answer or throw something out there, there's no wrong answers, so that'd be cool. And if not, I will answer the question.
Maybe when you don't know where your next meal is going to come from.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. Lack of access, your, security, right, is something for certain that's going to happen. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to stress about it. So being food insecure just means that you have a lack of access to a stable supply of food or a healthy supply of food, or you are not sure where your next meal is coming from. There's a lot of different meanings to this, and the USDA defines it as face is always in the way. Just that you don't have enough food for an active, healthy lifestyle. So, right, you can eat, fast food all day. Is that really contributing to you having the healthiest life that you could possibly have? Probably not. And that's part of being food insecure. Like maybe you're eating, but you're not getting all of the nutrients you need, and it builds up over time and adds to other issues that we see, obesity, poverty levels. It's all interconnected, and a lot of it centers around food and what our current systems are and how those people are getting access to food. Because if you don't even have a stable meal for the next day or that night, you can't really function very well on other aspects. So like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with this. Your basic necessities, food, shelter, safety, you have to have all those before you can even start to get to self-actualization. So food is a really big part of life. Obviously, we need it, and we need it to be healthy. And that's where a lot of these programs that the Food Shuttle does come in. And of course, the food bank, the Central Food Bank of North Carolina is huge. They feed so many people, and we'll get more into that. So thanks for answering that question. I have another one. So you know that we have a lot of food insecure people, and I'm going to tell you more numbers later. Kind of what food insecurity means. But why do we have so many people that are food insecure? What are the challenges to creating an equitable food system where everyone knows where their next meal is coming from and it's a healthy, nutritious meal that they need so that they can have the best life possible? So does anyone have ideas about what current challenges are to that? Interactivity on Zoom is difficult, I understand. But, well,
I would think that existing like racial inequity in other parts of, just in like pay and housing and stuff like that would add on top and make food insecurity even worse.
Absolutely. It is definitely all interconnected. And, a term that is kind of becoming a buzzword right now.
I think we also waste a lot of food. It's not that we don't have enough food, we're growing enough, but then we're not distributing it properly. Like the rich people have a lot of food that they waste, whereas poor people, they don't have any food.
Yeah, absolutely. That is definitely another cause to this. Food waste is a huge issue. Food waste contributes to a lot of things, and a lot of that is education too, right? So a lot of people don't know how to properly compost, or if they have the resources to compost, they don't know how, or they're not trying. So composting is a really easy way to reduce food waste. So I recommend compost if you guys have not tried it yet. I know some of you are in dorms and apartments and it's not always the easiest, but once you get to a place where you can do that, it definitely makes a difference in the food system. So.
And food deserts too. There are a lot of food deserts that exist. You can't, like the grocery stores, they're not always there, the fresh food. A lot of people don't have access.
Yes, definitely. Downtown Raleigh is a food desert, and that's where one of our learning gardens is, because we've recognized that the people that live around downtown Raleigh aren't within a mile of a grocery store that has fresh, healthy food. So food deserts are a huge problem in urban and in rural areas. So thank you. That was great. Right on my next point. So institutional barriers are reasons why people are food insecure. So these have persisted for years and years and years, and we're doing our best to work through them, right? So some of these barriers are the lack of access, and that comes from food deserts, like you said. There may be grocery stores and markets, but they might not have healthy food. They might have cheap food. There may be fast food places, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's what people need all the time. So there's that issue. There's low wage jobs in food. So even working in the food industry, right, you're not making a lot of money. And that is an issue of the food system, because you have these restaurants and industries, you have a whole industry surrounded around food, but it's not providing you with a livable wage where you can go and afford to buy your next meal. So that's a problem. There's also, farming and agriculture. Those jobs are also low wage for people. So that's an issue as well. Reduce community control and ownership. This one's really interesting to me because it is about more of like corporate ownership of food. So talking more about those big fast food chains, grocery store chains, those places are going into certain locations depending on the money and political backgrounds and everything. So, the community isn't having the chance to say, we need this here. Can you please put this here? The community doesn't have even all of the resources it needs to just grow its own food. So it can have the ownership over here. I produce this, I can eat it, my community can eat it. There's less of that happening. We're not all on farms producing our own food anymore. So that's a really interesting issue that I think exists, very prevalent. And environmental and health risks, this one also goes back to working in agriculture. So people working in agriculture are often not so much, often in poverty, not everywhere, but they are, sorry, something at my door. I apologize. They are working with pesticides and chemicals and herbicides, and so they're having to deal with health risk associated with working in a food system that isn't equitable because the people working in it are already in poverty. So long story short, those are the institutional barriers that exist and create inequitable food systems. So to tell you a little bit more about food insecurity, where we are, I definitely did not know when I started this job that North Carolina is the 10th hungriest state in the US, which is unbelievable because we are an agricultural state. NC State's an agriculture school. It's just amazing that we can have so much money and time devoted into agriculture and research and everything, and we're still the 10th hungriest state. So I thought that was a really interesting fact. So the food shuttle serves a 7-county area, and I have a list of all those counties on the next slide. But that's Wake, Durham, Johnston, Edgecombe, all the surrounding areas to us, and 222,000 people in that area are food insecure. So that's 1 in 5 children in North Carolina at risk for hunger, and 9% of seniors experiencing food insecurity, which is, the numbers are way too high everywhere. I mean, I don't even know the rest of the country's numbers, what's the 9th hungriest, what's the 11th hungriest, but that's North Carolina, and the numbers are kind of surprising. So 15% of our 7-county service area faces food insecurity. Over 250,000 people, I had the number over there, that's a lot of people to be food insecure, to not even know where they're going to have breakfast the next morning or what they're going to eat for lunch that day. And that's really scary. That's not something that anyone should have to deal with. So that is where what does it take to solve this? How can we solve this issue? There's tons of ways to solve this, and it takes local level work, it takes global level work, it takes state level, it takes individuals doing things, it takes community ownership, and that's where organizations like the Food Shuttle come in on that community level, but we'll get to that. So different strategies to create equitable food systems. These are some of the most well-known, maybe used. These are put into practice a lot. So expanding health food retail options, and those are in food deserts. So just giving those people more opportunities for farmers markets. There's a farmers market down in Moore Square every Saturday. There's the Black Farmers Market. I think that's like in Garner. There's the State Farmers Market, giving the food desert areas a better chance of having access to healthy, fresh food. And then giving healthy food options within institutions that serve vulnerable populations. So that's within like childcare centers that serve low-income groups. That's within nursing homes. That's within food banks and food pantries that are targeting those groups and making sure they get food. Supporting community gardens. So community gardens are an awesome way to get fresh food directly to the community, and also to get them involved in the process of growing their own food, which is really how you build sustainable food systems, is by teaching everyone how to do it themselves so that they are self-reliant. Small farms, local food production, and then protecting and strengthening food assistance programs. So like SNAP, WBT benefits, all of those are really great programs, and they're not accepted everywhere, and some things you can't buy with them, and just expanding those programs so that if you need to use them, they're there for you and they actually do what they're supposed to do, is feed you. So those are some strategies. Does anyone have any other strategies they think might contribute to equitable food systems? No? If you think of any, you can always pop in and let me know, or put it in the chat or something. So that's where the Interfaith Food Shuttle comes in, and then there's millions of other organizations that are doing the same work and similar work. So I'm just going to talk about one of them, the one that I know the most about. So we're a 32-year-old local hunger relief organization, but we focus on creating innovative solutions to hunger relief. So our motto is we feed, teach, and grow. We focus very heavily on education, and we started 32 years ago when a local soccer mom was driving around town, picking up biscuits for her kids' soccer team, and she noticed that they were throwing them away. Like, this was in the 80s. They used to throw them away when it reached lunchtime. And so she said, okay, I'm going to take these to the Shepherd's Table downtown. And I'm going to start doing this everywhere. And she just drove around and collected food waste and took it to the Shepherd's Table so people were getting it because it was just being thrown away. And that's how the Inter-Faith Food Shuttle started. And then she started doing different programs. And I'll talk more about those in a minute. But the communities we serve, these are the counties, the 7 surrounding counties. We redistribute 6 million pounds of food a year, 36% of which is fresh produce. And we do grow some of that produce because we have a farm off of Tryon Road, right by Crossroads in Cary. If you haven't been, make sure you just stop by. Everyone's really awesome, and we're always looking for volunteers. And we feed 6,000 people in low-income neighborhoods. They get to shop for free at mobile markets, and that's where we have trucks and cars of fresh produce, and we drive around and they get to come shop. 2,000 seniors receive grocery bags. Almost 5,000 children receive nutritious meals through Backpack Buddies, school pantries, and our food truck. And then over 60,000 adults and children receive healthy food every month from us. So we're feeding a lot of people, but there's always still more hungry people to be fed. So that's where our other programs come in, because we know putting food on a plate is not enough. We also need to empower people with the skills they need. Like I was saying, making people self-reliant is the way to make things sustainable. So we have culinary job training, and that is for recently incarcerated folks and also other people too who are just trying to get back up on their feet. We provide them with a stipend, and we get them their Safe Serve certification so that they can go work in restaurants, and that they're qualified to do that, and they get the stipend while they're going through the 6-week course. And we have beginning gardener classes. We have cooking healthy on a budget classes. We have school gardens, community gardens. We have the farm. We have mobile markets. We have all kinds of programs that are targeting different aspects of food systems so that we make sure we have a well-rounded approach to food insecurity. And so that brings me to our newest program, which is Gardens for Everyone. This is the program that I've been managing for the almost past year. So it is a program focused on building garden boxes at people's homes and at organizations in the community. Right now we're in Wake and Durham. We're only doing Wake and Durham County right now because we're figuring out how we're going to expand to all 7 counties. And it is just a pilot program. So this program is awesome because there's a lot of barriers to participating in a community garden. You have to have transportation to get there. If you have kids, you have to have childcare to help watch your kids, or if you can bring them, it really depends. But there's lots of barriers to even doing community gardening. And so when COVID happened, we said, what can we do to get people gardening at home? They can't come to the garden here. We had to, close the community garden for a little bit. What can we do to get people still growing? And how can we support them best with education? So by providing people with access to fresh food at home, they'll always have fresh food at home, because we're not just going to give them a box and leave them. We're going to teach them how to do it. So it's a pay what you can program. The minimum contribution is just $25. The total cost of a box is $200, but people are, it's for everyone. So we do take anyone who wants a box, anyone who wants to learn how to garden, they are allowed to apply, and we'll do a site visit and work it out with them. We provide all the educational resources, materials, and starter plants. So they're getting so many resources for just a little amount, because we want them to learn how to garden, and we want them to be able to be self-sufficient and grow food at home and share it with their neighbors and share it with the community and feed their kids and teach their kids how to garden. So it's a really awesome program. We also have a mentorship matching program. So we find more experienced gardeners like master gardeners or just people who garden a lot. We pair them with beginning gardeners and they meet once a month or twice a month and they get to work one-on-one in their garden. And then they have, a new connection in the community. And it's really awesome to see the community spread that this program has with the volunteers and the mentors and the gardeners. It's very cool. So we're serving a lot of different communities. We've built, I think, 10 boxes in childcare facilities. We've done 2 for homeless shelters. We just finished 6 boxes this week for a women's shelter downtown Raleigh. We're doing 5 boxes at a really awesome cultural center. It's called Fruit of Labor. It's off of Capitol. They do a lot of investment in environmental justice, and it's really interesting. And then we've built actually so our goal was 50 boxes from September to June, and we just built 64 boxes as of yesterday. So it has really taken off. The demand is there. People want gardens. They want to learn and they want to grow their own food and they want to teach their kids. So really engaging a large group of the population with this, which is so cool to see. And here's some photos just from our recent builds. I just wanted to ask real quick if anyone had any questions. I know there's some stuff in the chat, but I haven't looked. The boxes over here are 6 from the childcare center that we built them for. They're actually going to get a chicken coop from us on Monday. We're not providing the chickens, but we found someone to donate them. So,
Katie French in the chat asked, how can we volunteer to help build these?
awesome. Yes, I have a slide about that later, so I will share that information for sure. Did anyone else have any questions? Awesome. Yeah, this is just a little bit about how our gardeners, we really learn a lot about our gardeners. So a lot of them talk about COVID and how gardening has really become a therapeutic exercise. A lot of people can't garden in the ground anymore and they need a raised bed. A lot of people just want to be able to eat healthy and sustainably and cheaply. A lot of people are using this to aid in family health recovery. So it's really awesome to see just across the board how many different people want boxes and are so excited about gardening and how much of an impact it really does have on their lives if you give people the skills and resources and opportunity to just become self-sustainable and do this for themselves. You know, investing back in the community is the #1 thing you can do to stop food security, stop food insecurity, stop food insecurity, not food security. So it's really, really important. Locally owned food systems are sustainable because you have the community involved. The community knows best and they know who needs help. And that's all what our programs are trying to do, is invest in community power. So I think it's really awesome that the Food Shuttle recognizes this and invests in these programs that do this. They just launched a traveling food truck that goes around and makes food for people and gives them hot, fresh meals in different communities that need it. So we're always innovating new solutions to hunger relief. And then if you want to come volunteer, which we definitely always need more volunteers, there's a lot of different opportunities available for you. So for my program specifically, we're going to be building boxes pretty much every day except for Monday and Friday from now until the end of June, because I'm trying to get through the 30 box builds I think I have left before I leave at the end of June. The program will continue. We're accepting applications for interns right now, actually, across the board at the Food Shuttle. All of that information is available online. And I have a link for you too, and I'm sure you can share this presentation. Okay, cool. And the builds themselves are about 2 to 3 hours. You don't need any experience. We're gonna use some power drills. It's super easy. I'll show you if you never used one. I was not a tool woman before this job, and now I've bought myself a power tool. I love it. I want to go build a bunch of boxes everywhere. So, but do expect to have to shovel soil for about an hour. We shovel the soil, you know, they get 2 yards of soil, which is about a truck bed full. So just because the box is so tall. So expect to have to do that. It's a lot of heavy lifting, but it's really not that bad. And you can also volunteer at the farm off of Tryon Road. They always need people to seed, to pick weeds, to harvest. It's really fun to go out there and try it. All of that information is also available on the volunteer page on the Inter-Faith Food Shuttle website. And then there's also, you can stuff Backpack Buddy backpacks. You can stuff grocery bags for seniors. You can drive. You can help sort food in the warehouse. There is not a shortage of volunteer opportunities at the food shuttle. So please, you can sign up right online if you want to do that. And that is the link to the website. And when you send that out, it will pop up and you can click the volunteer tab and you'll see all the opportunities. And then those are my resources. So does anyone have any questions before I go? Virtually go on Zoom?
I have a question real quick before we've got some in the chat, but I was gonna ask how you went, if you could like explain the AmeriCorps service like that a little bit more and how that went, how that transitioned into Interfaith.
Yes, so through AmeriCorps, there's a few different program options. They have like state national programs, which is AmeriCorps funds a state program, and that is the program that you're employed through. So I work at Conservation Trust in North Carolina technically. They have AmeriCorps funding, and they recognize nonprofits and organizations within the community, and they pair you with people that need help. So that's, I applied to an AmeriCorps program specifically for the food shuttle, specifically this position, but they had worked with the food shuttle to figure out, well, we need help. We want to launch a program. We, can't afford a full-time staff person. And so they came up with this position and AmeriCorps funded it. So they have state national programs, and then AmeriCorps also has like the Conservation Corps. So those are people that go out, you apply directly to go out and like hike a trail for a week or a few months, and you do trail maintenance and you do upkeep. And those are more common usually on the West Coast, but there are some here. And then they have VISTA programs, which are similar to the state national programs, but they are a little bit more intensive within AmeriCorps. So they have like a problem that needs to be solved within an organization, but you work more independently from the organization, as opposed to like I am fully immersed into Interfaith Food Shuttle. I work at the office there. I'm working with the staff members, and AmeriCorps is kind of just a supervisor. Yeah, and those are all on their website, and they post new ones. They have like cycles. Usually they're a year long.
Laura asked what type of wood you used for the boxes.
So it is pressure treated pine, yellow pine. Most people do say, cedar or redwood are better options for garden boxes, but those are way more expensive. So we use what we can. The pressure treated is fine. It's going to last a long time outside, which is better for the people that we're building them for. We were lining them with plastic because some people had concerns about the wood because they used to treat pressure treated lumber with arsenic. They don't do that anymore. That was like the 80s. Now it's treated with copper and salt. So it's okay to use, but we've been lining it with plastic because people just seem to feel more comfortable with that. So, but yes. I see, are there future plans to reduce the cost of the boxes even more? So it's really actually very interesting how they want to create this program in the future, like sustainably. So they want to outsource to organizations in different counties that can just learn the model of how we're building them. And then we would pair them with people and the people that apply to us. And then they would go out and build the boxes and, you know, source materials. I think that we're currently in a lumber shortage. And so lumber is really, really expensive right now, which it didn't change the cost of the box too much. But I think if that goes back down, we'll be able to get more of a relationship with like a lumber company, and then they would donate, you know, lumber for this project a little bit more because there is a shortage. And so that's kind of an issue. But we would like to get the boxes even more cost effective. But since it is pay what you can, it's not affecting the people as much that are paying for them. But good, great question. We also looked at doing maybe metal boxes. You can get like big pieces of sheet metal and just connect them at the corners, and those will last a really long time too. So we're looking at different options for reducing costs, you know, what kind of wood would be better maybe, or if we could do it with metal. Oh, it's raining. At least where I am. Anyone else have any questions? I'd also encourage you to look at the Food Shuttle's internship programs for the summer. They're unpaid, unfortunately, but it's really great experience. And the Gardens for Everyone program has we'll have two interns, and we will be taking interns for the fall and the spring too, as are all the programs. The communication side of the Interfaith Food Shuttle has interns. The warehouse is interns, volunteer service has interns, and the urban learning gardens as well. So lots of opportunity if you're, you know, thinking about agriculture, even just getting involved in the community around Raleigh. I've met so many interesting people and just volunteers and everything. That, you know, it's great for networking also too. So are there plans for Interfaith Food Shuttle to expand their activities or stay local to NC counties? So the Food Shuttle in general is, I think, just going to stay local to the counties surrounding us, because it was started as a local hunger relief solution. So the central and northern food, what's it called? The Food Bank of North Carolina. I should obviously know what it's called, but the Food Bank of North Carolina, they really do an awesome job of serving the whole state. And, you know, each state has their own kind of food insecurity programs and things. So we're more on a local, smaller scale. Thanks for the question.
Well, if there aren't any other questions, thank you so much, Julianne, for coming and talking to us and ending our symposium on a really good note. So if you would like to send me this presentation or just any links or anything that you'd like on the website, we're definitely going to be posting like your information stuff, but also like stuff for the Interfaith Food Shuttle and for the community gardens. So just let us know.
Yes, and I will send you all that. And, you know, feel free for anyone to reach out to me for anything. I am happy to help, you know, in any way I can. So thanks so much for having me and inviting me. I loved talking about all this. It's really exciting work. So it's cool.
Thank you.